Meet Pat. Pat is a teacher. He went into teaching because he loves the joys and challenges of working with students. Pat thoroughly enjoys teaching, even if the many demands have become increasingly stressful. In the midst of the COVID crisis, George Floyd was killed by police, and it seemed that normal life had changed. There were protests, people had increasingly negative views of the police, and the topic of racism had become much more prominent. Pat was kind of a mess, but wanted to function the best he could during this crazy state the world was in. Pat was feeling uneasy, angry, frustrated, confused, and he didn't know how to make life seem normal again. Pat didn't think he was racist, but struggled when it came to discussing racism. He was unclear on how racism related to teaching. Then, Pat found Activating Your Empathy to Challenge Racism, a course for educators. He had never thought about how empathy could be used with regards to racism. So Pat registered for one of the sections meeting every week for 4 weeks in July. Each class met for 2 hours on Zoom. Pat had never been exposed to a lot of the material in Dr. Jen's course, but was intrigued and engaged. It was a challenging class that changed the way that Pat thought about race and how it applied to teaching. Pat realized that empathy could help build authentic connections with people in new ways. Pat came out of the class with a deeper awareness of the challenges that people of color experience on a daily basis. He realized that teachers have the power to challenge racism when students, colleagues, or parents say or do racist things. Pat realized how teaching could be used as a tool for liberation, which became a long-term goal. After the assignments and discussions, Pat felt much more comfortable discussing race with others. Pat really appreciated that the class had only 10 people, which made it easier for everyone to share their thoughts and feelings. Pat was grateful for the relationships that Dr. Jen fostered in the class. Although many discussions were hard, he felt support from classmates and Dr. Jen. Pat also liked that the assignments included reading, movies, Instagram video posts, podcasts, and children's books. The work wasn't taxing. The assignments and class structure made talking about racism manageable and less threatening than Pat had thought it would be. A year later, Pat is applying new ways of thinking about race to his life and work. Pat is now able to talk openly about race with students, colleagues, and parents. Pat feels that his anti-racist teaching processes have increased. He feels that racism is more out in the open and is comfortable talking about it. Pat still has some work to do, but is on the way to becoming an anti-racist educator. Pat has developed an appreciation of Black culture and awareness of who benefits from racism and how he can challenge racism on a regular basis. Be like Pat. Register for one of the 6 sections of this summer course and learn how your empathy can help you actively challenge racism. Go to Eventbrite to register for Activating Your Empathy to Challenge Racism, a course for educators.